In the Mitasota, Buddha said, Karaniya Matha Kusalena Yanda Santam Bada Bismaja Sako Ujuja Sujuja Suajoja Samudu and the Dimani. That means if you want to dwell penetrating the state of calm, if you want to dwell penetrating the state of nirvana, and if you are skilled in your good, you should practice three kinds of training: morality training, concentration training, and wisdom training. Now you are hoping for nirvana, the ultimate peacefulness of nirvana, and you are practicing Satipatthana Vipassana meditation. It is a training of three: Sila, Samadhi, and Pinya. A meditator should be able, upright, very upright, and obedient. If you want to be upright and very upright, you need to practice these three kinds of training. You need to practice meditation restlessfully and diligently, and gradually you are becoming upright and very upright. And if you want to be refined, or if you want to be upright and very upright, you need to go through 7 stages of purity, one by one, to become very upright. 7 stages of purity: Sila, Sila Visuddhi, purifications of virtue; Chaita Visuddhi, purifications of mind; Deity Visuddhi, purifications of view; Kinka Vitarana Visuddhi, purification by overcoming doubt; Mega Jnana Dasana Visuddhi, purification by knowledge and vision of path and not path; Patipada Jnana Dasana Visuddhi, purification by knowledge and vision of the way; and finally, Jnana Dasana Visuddhi, purification by knowledge and vision. And also, the difference between Uju and Suju is, if you are not cunning in physical and verbal behavior, you are Uju, you are upright, you are honest. If you are not cunning in mental behavior, you are very upright. So need to know the difference between Uju and Suju, upright and very upright. Can you follow me? If the person is not cunning in physical and verbal behavior, he is upright. If the person is not cunning In physical and verbal behavior, he is upright. If the person is not cunning in mental behavior, he is very, very upright. So physically, verbally, you are not cunning, you are upright, you are honest. And mentally, you are not cunning, you are honest, so you are very upright. So 7 stages of purity, 7 stages of purification. First, you need to purify your physical and verbal behavior, Sila Visuddhi. Then you need to purify your mind. And you need to purify your view until you become Arata Megaphala. And you are fully very upright. So today we will explain how meditators become purified and very upright step by step by practicing Vipassana meditation. Vipassana meditation means observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses: rising, falling, sitting, stretching, bending, walking, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing. Whatever physical behavior, mental behavior, and feeling or sensation and Dharma activities have to be observed thoroughly and continuously. So the practice of the Vipassana is divided into 7 stages of purity. They are called Visuddhi. You have to go through these 7 stages of purity one by one. There is no skipping of any stage of purity. You have to go from the beginning up to the top. During those stages, yogi experience different kinds of knowledge or understanding, and different kinds of vipassana knowledge arise in your mind as you go along these 7 stages of purity. The first stage is Sila Visuddhi, purity of virtue. During this stage, you do not yet practice vipassana. First, you need to take precepts. You try to purify your moral conduct. That is because purity of moral conduct is a firm basic of, on which you build the structure of concentration and wisdom. Without moral purity, you cannot hope to get concentration. And if you cannot get concentration, you do not get the penetration into the true nature of mind and matter. So that purity of moral conduct is an important step to achieve if you are to practice Vipassana meditation. So the first stage is like making preparation for your practice of meditation. So you are becoming uju, upright, because your physical and verbal behavior are purified. In the beginning, we are not purified. we are not upright. Then if we practice, if we take precepts, we become upright. And then second stage of purity is called Citta Visuddhi, purity of mind. Purity of mind means concentration. So excess concentration, upachara samadhi, and absorption concentration, apana samadhi, are said to be purity of mind. A yogi gets excess concentration and absorption concentration when you practice samatha meditation. You practice one of the subject of samatha meditation and you get excess concentration and absorption concentration. Purity of mind is described as excess concentration and absorption concentration. Excess concentration is also called neighborhood concentration, and absorption concentration is called jhana concentration. So there are those who do not practice samatha meditation, who do not begin their meditation practice with samatha, but who practice vipassana meditation right away. Now mostly all the yogis practice vipassana right way. So for those people, purity of mind means momentary concentration, kanika samadhi. Momentary concentration is similar to excess concentration. When you get excess concentration, you can keep your mind on the meditation object firmly. There will be no mental hindrances in your mind. So excess concentration can subdue the mental hindrances and it can keep the mind on the meditation object firmly. In the same way, momentary concentration can keep your mind on the object and also it can keep the mental hindrances away from the mind. So momentary concentration is actually counterpart to excess concentration. It is counterpart or similar to excess concentration. Only difference is for excess concentration, there is only one kind of object, but for momentary concentration, there can be many objects. The objects may differ at different moments for momentary concentration, but for excess concentration, the object is the same kind all through. In the commentaries and also other sub-commentaries, excess concentration and absorption concentration only are said to be purity of mind, but the momentary concentration is essential to Vipassana meditation. That means if you do not get momentary concentration, your practice of Vipassana will not be successful. So most Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw said that for those yogis who practice pure Vipassana, for those who do not practice samatha meditation, but practice pure Vipassana, purity of mind means momentary concentration. So for yogis, momentary concentration is very important. So when you practice Vipassana, you get momentary concentration and you are said to have achieved purity of mind. So during practice, when your mind is on the meditation object only, and your mind does not wander, then you are said to have obtained momentary concentration. When you get momentary concentration, you begin to see mind and matter clearly. You begin to see or you begin to distinguish mind and matter as it is mind thinking, it is matter, it is rupa. Also, you begin to see the characteristics, function, manifestation, and proximate cause of the object. So when you see the objects clearly, when you can distinguish that it is mind, it is matter, and when you see the characteristics and others clearly, then you are said to have achieved purity of view. Your view is clear. Your view is purified. So purity of view means when you watch the mind and matter, you just see that there is just the object, and there is the mind that takes that object. So there are only just these two things arising and disappearing. And there is nothing in addition to these two things which you can call a self or soul or an atta. Now your view is purified. You become more uju. You become more upright. When you reach this stage, you are able to abandon the wrong view that there is an atta, there is a self, or there is a soul, and etc. Distinct from mind and matter. So at that stage, you are said to gain the knowledge of defining mind and matter. After seeing mind and matter clearly and distinctly, you see the causes of mind and matter. You see that something is the cause of mind or something is the cause of matter. At this stage, you are able to overcome doubts about whether you have been before or whether you will be in the future, and also doubts about the fully enlightened Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, and the practice. At this stage, you are said to gain the knowledge of discerning causes. Causes means sometimes the real causes and sometimes the condition. So at this stage, you see the conditionality of things. Because there is something to be seen, there is the seeing consciousness. Because there is something to be noted, there is noting consciousness, and so on. You see this clearly at this stage. When you reach this stage, purity of overcoming doubts, you are called Chula Sotapanna. You become more upright. You are a lesser stream entrant, Chula Sotapanna. That means you are not a real Sotapanna, but you become like a Sotapanna. A Sotapanna will not be reborn in the four woeful states in your future life. These meditators, Chula Sotapanna, will not be reborn in four woeful states in his or her next rebirth. If you do not fall away from this stage, of course, if you fall away from this stage before you are dead, then your rebirth is not sure, not assured. You may be reborn in the four woeful states. If you do not fall away from this stage until you are dead, you will not be reborn in the four woeful states. So you are like a Sotapanna. You are called a Chula Sotapanna or Lesser Sotapanna. You become more upright. After discerning the causes of mind and matter, Meditator practice the comprehension of the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta. At this stage, Meditator takes object as a group and then contemplates on them as impermanent, suffering, and not soul. This stage is called purity of knowledge and vision of path and not path. At this stage, Meditator gains the knowledge of comprehension. At this stage, Meditator dwells on many objects and tries to see these objects as impermanent, suffering, and not soul. After comprehending the three characteristics of mind and matter, Meditator comes to see the arising and disappearing of mind and matter. Here you see the arising and disappearing of individual objects. You do not take a group objects, but you take each individual object at the moment, and you see that the object arises and disappears. When you see the arising and disappearing of mind and matter, your concentration becomes strong. And when your concentration becomes strong or stronger, you begin to experience what are called impediment of Vipassana. Obaso, Piti, Pasati, Dipako, Pego, Sukha, Jnana, Upatana, Upika, Nikanti, 10 impediments. So when you see the arising and disappearing of mind and matter, you may experience light or baso, and you may experience joy or pity, and you experience passaddhi, tranquility, and you experience a strong confidence or strong faith, and your effort is strong. You experience sukha, happiness, and your experience, your understanding is very sharp at this moment. Your mindfulness is very firm, and you do not have to make much effort to be mindful of the object. Last, there is the nikanti, attachment. Attachment to these impediments. You attach to the light, you attach to the tranquility, etc. When these impediments arise, Meditator is pleased with these impediments. He likes them and he wants to hold onto them. So there is attachment to these also. These 10 states are called impediments of Vipassana. Because when you experience this impediment, you think you have achieved your goal. You think that it is the end of my practice. So you stop there and you do not go any further. When you do not go any further, and it is not the end of your journey, and it is just some side effect, it is some side effect you experience during the practice. So when you stop there, your progress is blocked. That is why these are called impediments of Vipassana. They are not the right path of Vipassana. A meditator who has no prior knowledge of these may take them to be his or her goal. But a meditator who knows about these or who has prior knowledge of these knows that they are not the real goal, and he or she has to overcome these. Then he will practice further and be able to overcome these impediments of Vipassana. These stages of knowledge is called purity of knowledge, a vision of path and non-path. Simply put, it means understanding which is right or wrong, which is right and wrong, which is the right path, and which is the wrong path. You see clearly and you become more upright. When these 10 impediments arise, and when you are satisfied with them and attached to them, you are following the wrong path because you will not make any progress after that. So these 10 impediments or actually the attachment to these 10 impediments is called non-path. And you must understand that these are just impediments, and they are to be transcended, and that the practice of mindfulness of these impediments is the right path, which is the right way to do. So understanding that which is the right path and that which is not the right path is what is meant by purity of knowledge and vision of path and non-path. So during this stage, meditator is confronted with the problem actually that is these 10 impediments. If you do not go any further, then your progress will be arrested there. Understanding which path is the correct way and which path is not the correct way is the name of this stage of purity. After transcending the impediments, meditator again see the arising and disappearing of mind and matter. At this stage, your seeing is clearer, your understanding is stronger. Now you may have noticed first, you see the arising and disappearing of mind and matter. Then you encounter the 10 impediments. Then you make effort to transcend the 10 impediments. So again, you see the arising and disappearing of mind and matter. This time, your understanding is clearer. So there are two stages of the knowledge of arising and disappearing: weak stage and strong stage. The first stage is weak stage of arising and falling. At this stage, your understanding is not so strong, and so the impediments come, and then you transcend the impediments, and your understanding becomes stronger. So when your understanding becomes stronger, you see more clearly the arising and disappearing of mind and matter. After that knowledge, another knowledge arises. By that knowledge, you see the falling or disappearing only. You do not try to see the arising, but seeing or understanding is falling or disappearing only. So at this stage of knowledge, whatever objects you observe, you see as disappearing. When you see just the disappearing of whatever object you keep your mind on, that object disappear. So when you see the disappearance of objects, you come to the knowledge that these objects are fearful. They are dangerous. These namarupa are dangerous because they do not last and they disappear as you observe them. So after that, you come to the stage where you find fault with mind and matter. When you see that mind and matter are fearful, then you find some fault with them. After seeing the fault with them, you become disenchanted. That means you turn away from mind and matter. You are dispassionate with mind and matter, or you become weary with mind and matter. So now you are just seeing the disappearing. So you know that they are fearful, they are dangerous, and you find fault with them. So now you become weary with them. When you become weary with them, you want to get free from them. You want to get free from mind and matter, because whatever mind and matter you observe, you see them disappearing. So you want to get free. You want to get free from mind and matter. That means you want to get free from suffering. That is, you become upright, more upright. Another knowledge comes, that is Monchitu Kamyata Jnana. When it is Mochitu Kamyata, it is the desire to get free, desire to escape. When it's Monchitu Kamyata, it means desire to let go. They mean the same thing actually. When you became disenchanted with something, you want to throw it away, you want to let go. So desire to get free or desire to let go, both are correct. Mochitu Kamyata Jnana or Mochitu Kamyata Jnana. When you want to get free from mind and matter, or when you want to let go of mind and matter, you contemplate on them again. You want to be more upright, you want to be very upright. So you contemplate on them again as impermanent, suffering and not so. So at this stage, you try to see mind and matter as impermanent, suffering and not so, again and again. Then, as a result of this comprehension, you reach into another stage of knowledge which is called equanimity towards mind and matter. That is equanimity about formation. That means when you reach this stage, you do not have to make effort to be mindful of the object. Your mind is always on the object, and so your mindfulness is, as it were, becomes to you automatically. So you are not concerned about mindfulness because you do not have to make effort. Mindfulness comes to you by itself because you have been training many times. So finally, mindfulness comes to you by itself. This is called equanimity towards mind and matter. Your mind is very calm during this stage. You are nearly very upright. Your mind can stay in the middle. That means when you come across fearful object, you will not be afraid. When you come across attractive object, you will not be attracted to that object. So your mind will be in the middle. Also, you do not have to make effort. Your mindfulness is always good and your mindfulness is always on the object. This is a stage called knowledge of equanimity about formation. When your knowledge of equanimity about formation becomes mature, you will get into another stage of knowledge called knowledge of conformity, anulomanyana. At this stage, meditator is about to get enlightenment. That knowledge is called conforming knowledge because it conforms both to previous kinds of knowledge and kinds of knowledge which are to come. After the knowledge of conformity comes what is called knowledge of change of lineage. From the second part of knowledge of arising and falling up to this knowledge of conformity, there are 9 kinds of knowledge. These 9 stages of knowledge are called purity as the way, which is knowledge and vision, or we can just say purity of the way or purity of the practice. After the knowledge of conformity comes the knowledge of change of lineage. At this moment, at this knowledge of change of lineage, meditator is about to get enlightenment. So this moment is his or her last moment as a warling, as an ordinary person. When meditator gets into the next stage, he gains enlightenment. So this stage is called the change of lineage. That means it overpowers the Puthujjana lineage. It overpowers the lineage of the warning and reach into the lineage of a noble person. This knowledge of change of lineage takes nirvana as object, while the previous stage of knowledge take mind and matter or conditioned phenomena as object. This knowledge of change of lineage does not belong to the 6th stage of purity or 7th stage of purity. The knowledge of equanimity about formation, Sankaripikanyana, the knowledge of conformity, Nulomanyana, and the knowledge of change of lineage, Kudrabunyana. These 3 are called insight leading to emergence. Uttanagamini. Here, emergence means path, because the next moment is the path moment. These three are said to lead to the path and to emergence. So they are called insight leading to emergence. Next is the stage of knowledge of path. That means it is the moments of enlightenment. At this moment, realization of the Four Noble Truths arises, and taking Nibbana as object. Immediately following the knowledge of path is the knowledge of fruits. It is the fruit of the path, so it is called phala in Pali. Now these are the 7 stages yogi go through when you practice meditation resourcefully and diligently, and gradually you are becoming uju, and finally you become suju, very upright. So by obtaining Arhata Mega, the meditator is totally free from all mental defilements, and yogis become fully very upright. So now you are going through these 7 stages of purity one by one. First you become uju, upright, and finally you will reach the stage of suju, very upright. So we have to stop our discussion for today. By practicing Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the 6 sense doors, may all yogis go through 7 stages of purity one by one, and may all yogis become upright, and may you become fully very upright. May you be liberated from all suffering. May you realize the real peace in the very near future.